What comes after a verb? To do, or doing. Part 2. Students regularly ask me, how do I know what comes after a verb? There is no simple answer to this question, but there are some guidelines. Some of the trickiest kinds of verbs are those that have other verbs as complements or objects. When a verb is a complement, it can be in one of three forms: a full infinitive, like to do, a bare infinitive, like do, or a gerund, like doing. If a verb takes another verb as a complement, it is usually either a full infinitive or a gerund. Bare infinitives can only be complements for a small number of verbs, but these verbs are very common. Let's look at some verbs that take bare infinitives as complements. Modal verbs. Modal verbs express the speaker's beliefs, the speaker's attitude about whether something is possible, or the speaker's ideas about a potential activity. The following modal verbs take bare infinitives as objects: can, could, will, shall, must, may, might, should, and would. And would is only if we are talking about a habit in the past. Remember that unlike other verbs, modal verbs do not show subject-verb agreement. Here are some examples. The test may be difficult. It is possible that the test will be difficult. The students may not use a calculator during the test. Students are prohibited from using calculators. I can study all night if necessary. I have the potential to study all night. You should study harder if you want to pass the test. I believe that you are not studying enough. Some verbs are followed by a clause that has a bare infinitive. A clause, at the very least, has a subject and a verb. It can be independent or dependent. All the examples that I will show below are dependent clauses. Causative constructions with have and make. When we use have and make in causative constructions, they must be followed by a clause that has a bare infinitive. A causative construction shows one agent causing another agent to do an action. For example, I had the barber cut my hair. The barber cut my hair because I wanted him to do it. The complement of the verb have is the barber cut my hair. I made my daughter take a bath. My daughter took a bath because I wanted her to do it. The complement of the verb make is my daughter take a bath. Causative constructions with have and make are very common in spoken English. Remember that English-speaking people tend to be specific about who did an action. If you say, I cut my hair, native speakers will assume that you did the action, not a barber or hairdresser. Let and help. Let and help follow the same pattern as have and make. They are followed by a clause with a bare infinitive. For example, the teacher let the students take a break. The complement of let is the students take a break. My friend helped me repair my car. The complement of help is me repair my car. Verbs of perception. In American English, the following verbs of perception take bare infinitive clauses as complements: see, watch, feel, and hear. For example, I saw him leave the building. I see him leave the building every afternoon. Mary heard her sister close the door. I watch my daughter get on the school bus every day. I felt the floor shake during the earthquake. These verbs are different from the earlier examples because it is also possible to have a gerund clause as a complement. For example, I saw him leaving the building. Mary heard her sister closing the door. If we use a bare infinitive, as we did in the first set of examples, it means that we think of the action as a single event. If we use a gerund, there's a subtle difference in meaning. If the main verb is in the past tense, it means that we think of the action as something that happened over a period of time. Gerunds show actions that are ongoing or incomplete. If we use the verbs see and hear in the simple present tense and the action is happening now, the gerund is mandatory. For example, look, I see them entering the building. In this case, the gerund is showing an incomplete action. To recap, there are a limited number of verbs that take a bare infinitive as a complement. The modal verbs that I covered take a bare infinitive as an object. The others take a clause with a bare infinitive as an object. Thank you for listening. This is Christine from Difficult English Explained.